an over-the-top Indian wedding, fortune-telling, terrible blind dates, and no passport photos. Ever. That's right. This week we are breaking down 2025 rom-com Picture This with Simone Ashley and Hero Fine Tiffin, currently streaming on Amazon Prime.
Welcome to the Rom-Com Rescue Podcast, a brand new podcast where we bring the love and life lessons from your favorite rom-coms. I'm Kira Sabin. I'm a healthy dating educator, a certified coach, and a positive psychology practitioner. But more importantly, I spend my days teaching the skills and mindsets of dating.
And I'm Dr. Isabel Morley. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist and an EFT certified couples therapist. And I help couples have the happiest, healthiest relationship possible. Join us weekly as we break down the best love lessons from your favorite rom-coms so we can all get into the best relationships possible. Because we believe that we create our own happily ever afters.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Rom-Com Rescue. We're so excited to be here. And we're talking about a brand new rom-com. I don't think a lot of people have seen this. I've not seen much conversation. I could barely find anything online about it. But the movie is Picture This, starring Simone Ashley from Bridgerton. Let's get into this. So it's brand new. I know I sent you the trailer. I was excited about the trailer. You were excited about the trailer. How'd it work out?
I was so excited about the trailer.
Excited.
This was the first trailer I've seen in a long time where I was hooked and I was literally thinking, I cannot wait to watch this. This is going to scratch my rom-com itch.
Right.
It is going to get all my feelings going. It did not deliver.
At all. And by the way, everybody, we are rooting for rom-coms. We are rooting for
every
love.
Time.
I was saying to Izzy just yesterday, I haven't felt the get that where I'm like, ooh, I'm into this and I want to see them together, even if it doesn't make sense. I have not felt that now for quite a while. And I was hoping this movie was going to be it, and it was not.
Same. That's why I rewatch The Holiday all the time. That makes me feel all the feelings. I get so caught up. I'm blind to anything that could be wrong with it. This did not bring up feelings besides frustration. It was too much and too little. There was too many plots. There were too many complicated relationships. There was so much happening. There, like you said, there's all these different things mixed together, but the substance was lacking. There wasn't a really good backstory to why Pia and Charlie didn't work out or their relationship. There was just so many missing pieces. So I felt like I was trying to keep up with what was going on, but also like not getting anything out of it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And here is, I feel like in 2025, a basic rule. The person they end up with should be in the film for more than 5 to 7 minutes. Because at the end, all of a sudden, there's this nice moment and he's like, I've never stopped thinking about you. And she goes, me either. And now we're together. And I'm like, we're not going to discuss anything? What? I mean, he's in a relationship with Lily or Lila, what, right? Because he likes redheads, supposedly. I rewatched this morning thinking I had missed stuff in the Vibe Watch, and I missed nothing.
You missed nothing.
I just can't be convinced, no matter how stunning Simone Ashley is. I think she is one of the most beautiful women in the world. Like,
hands down.
Wow.
And her hair was cool in this. I loved her hair in this.
Her hair was amazing in this. I liked her in Bridgerton, but it also felt weirdly very much like Bridgerton. She has a younger sister who's getting married, and she's the one who's kind of
independent.
Right. And I was just kind of like, did this movie role come up? And I was like, oh, let's have her do it. Because she literally just played this character in Bridgerton. I wonder if that happened. But you don't even know this. And I need to tell you something because listeners, I want to know what you guys think because this is fascinating to me. When I started watching this, I was like, this is so weird. I swear to God, I have watched a rom-com like this recently. And it's because I have. And in fact, there is an Australian rom-com that came out in 2024 that this was based on.
What?
Called Five Blind Dates. I actually watched it because I do the watching for us to see, is this a movie we want to do or talk about? And I decided no, because of this, right? It wasn't that good.
Wait, Kira. 2024 is not long ago enough for a movie to be based off of it.
I know.
Wow.
So here's what's interesting to me. The Australian movie comes out, which I actually liked better. I rewatched like a little bit of that this morning. And I was like, oh yeah, I did like this better. I just like the characters better. I just did. I felt like her chemistry with her first boyfriend was a lot better. But the fact that this came out in 2024 to not great reviews and that they recreated the exact same movie.
That made it more complicated.
But it's about the same. But wouldn't you make it better?
Learn from the recent
from
past.
Our mistakes. Yeah. I don't get it. It was actually two of the same people who were in charge of the Australian movie came over and I believe were part of this movie. And I'm just kind of like, huh? That doesn't even make financial sense, right? Does not make financial sense. You get this option to redo this movie.
Yes.
I mean, Simone Ashley's kind of a thing right now, right? And I don't know if you caught that, but Hero Fine. So as in Ray Fine, as in Joseph Fine, as in, you know what I mean? So he is part of the Fine family, the Fine's family. And
he was fine.
And he was, although I barely saw him.
I know.
So how would I know?
And he seemed nice, but we didn't get a chance to get to know him very well. So
at all, which is interesting considering he is the male lead. But I thought you would be as shocked to me that literally they redid this movie. They made a really mean, not very likable character that I'm supposed to be rooting for when she's just
tearing down everyone around her.
Everyone. She's ruining her sister's wedding. Shocking. Another rom-com where people are acting bad at a wedding.
Selfish.
Shocker.
But you know what it was when I watched it? I loved the concept. I love the idea of the spiritual guru saying, in the next 5 dates, you're going to find the person you're going to end up with. I thought that was so fun. I like that sort of mysticism part of it. And then her having to go on this journey. I wish they had been not begrudging dates she went on, but her being like, okay, set me up with some people. Let's find this person. And then the dates not being as insane as they were. I also thought when her mom showed her the jewelry and said, when you get married, you'll get this. I was hoping that she would fake date and marry her gay best friend, Jay, just to get the money to keep her place of life. I was like, there's so many well-used tropes here that could have been really fun.
Right.
That would have worked. But you're right. They made her too mean. And so you weren't rooting for her. I was like worried about Charlie. I was like, Charlie, you got to get out of here.
We're on the same page about this because I don't think you know this about me, but I love a little mysticism or magic, right?
Ooh,
I do.
yeah.
I am such a sucker for movies like Serendipity, things like that, where like all the things doors. like line up, like bring that shit on. I love the kind of fantasy that can go along with something. So I was really excited.
Yeah.
And zero. That's it just but I know we have a couple of questions. You want to start with your question first?
Okay. So we see her in this walk on hot coals.
Yes. I want to do that.
Do you? So my question for you is, and I was thinking about this for myself, what is the most physically thrilling or terrifying thing that you have ever done?
So there's a younger version of Kira who was a lot more exciting. I mean, when I worked on cruise ships, we used to go like cliff jumping and things like that. There was a handful of times. So not, I would say, a very normal amount, not like a you need to be trained. But I remember a few very great days in Barbados, actually, where there was a rock you could climb and then jump off of that. And I've also done kind of some bungee jumping light. So not like what you see for TikTok, but more like a controlled bungee jumping kind of situation.
What kind of controlled bungee jumping exists?
Well, I'm talking about, you see a bungee jumping where people are literally like tying their stuff to a bridge. In Australia. No. This was like at an actual location where they do this for a living. Okay. You don't go that far down. You don't get right. So it was like a controlled bungee jumping. And honestly, you asking me was this, I was like, I got to do some more stuff. I'm kind of boring right now. So I actually thought walking on hot coals would be super cool. I'd be totally down for that. I thought that was probably one of the more fun. and seeing Phil Dunster from Ted Lasso in this. Jamie. I know, because it had like fun cast. I don't think you know who Nikesh Patel is, but one of my favorite rom-com series that's come out in the last couple of years is called Starstruck. And he is the lead in that. And I loved him, and him playing kind of the square who's in love with his mom.
I loved him. I was rooting for him.
I was rooting for him. I was like, this guy's nice, and he's thoughtful.
Handsome,
he's kind.
Smart. Yes.
Absolutely. I do have another question I'm asking you right now, though, which is if you are horribly allergic to nuts, would you not
ask people? That was crazy to me. You have to ask. I have a kid who has terrible allergies to nuts, peanuts, and eggs. We have to ask. You got to check everything. You always have to ask. You have an EpiPen on hand. By the way, if you start to feel an allergic reaction, you get your own EpiPen. Okay, hold on. This is a safety issue. I'm going to just flag this for our listeners because thankfully, I have not had to do this to my daughter. I can't even imagine having to. They give you a pack of 2 EpiPens if you have allergies or a kid with allergies because you do an initial stab and then you race to the hospital. And if they have the reaction come back, you stab them again on the way to the hospital. Right. She gives him 1 stab of the EpiPen and then they hang out on the bench. And I was like, you got to go, sir. You could still die. Like, you're not safe from your anaphylactic shock here. So if anyone has allergies or is with somebody who's having an allergic reaction, stab them with the EpiPen and take them to the hospital.
Seriously. Thank you for the safety check with Dr. Izzy.
You're welcome.
Super appreciate it.
I'm not a medical doctor, however.
Right. I just feel like if you have a severe allergy, you're asking before you put anything in your mouth. So that just didn't even feel real to me. There's 1,000 things that could have went wrong or weird or awkward or funny there that didn't have to do with, this is like a 35-year-old guy. He knows to ask before he eats a brownie to see if there's nuts in it, period.
Yes.
Like, come on, people. We can write better than this. We can write better than this. It wasn't even...
A bee sting. A bee could have stung him.
They were literally outside. 1,000 things could have happened. I wrote this to you yesterday, and I am going to say this kindly, but this just felt phoned in, like somebody phoned it in, right? It just kind of felt like, here are the 3 things we're going to do. And then there was this weird amount of sex jokes and the whole pooping thing. And I'm just kind of like, are they trying to like something?
The back door. I didn't even get that part, really.
I mean, I did, but I'm kind of like, is that...
I understood the joke, but like, why was it in there even? Was it a family joke? Like the reference? They also drank so much. She drank a ton. Like, every time she felt stressed, get me a drink, make it a double. And I was like, this is bad coping, my friend.
It sure was. I have a question for you. Have you ever been to an Indian wedding?
No.
Me
and I have a really good friend I grew up with who ended up having a lovely wedding and not an Indian wedding, even though she's Indian and she could have done a full-blown, I know. Wow. So I went to her wedding. It was in Edinburgh. It was awesome. But no, I have not. Have you?
I haven't. And please, listeners, if anybody here
invite us.
Is Indian and getting married anytime, listen, a year or 2 from now, please invite us. Please
would be a great time.
Invite us. Yes, because we would love to come. I would love to experience this. They look so cool. They look so cool.
I know. New Girl is as close as I've come.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
That's the closest.
Same. And then I have another question. I think this is a real question because shit does happen like this in adult relationships, which we meet her father's longtime girlfriend, Jane. I don't remember off the top of my head how long they've been together, but her parents have been divorced for 15 years. Yeah. So this woman's been around for a long time. Would you feel comfortable, or what would you tell a client if you don't if your relationship is not publicly acknowledged for years?
Yeah.
That's because of whatever reasons, but on some level you have to be willing to go along with it. You have to be okay with it. I don't know if I'd be okay with it.
I don't think so, in part because I could imagine in an isolated context being okay with it. Like whenever we're with my extended family, we have to pretend I'm so sorry, but that's twice a year, right?
Right.
But this is like Instagram fake. Like everyone,
right? Everybody's on board. Global. Right. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
You can't really have a real relationship then because you can't be authentic and live an honest life with each other and with the people in your lives, right? Like there's just a limit to how much how real you can be. So I couldn't do it, and I wouldn't recommend it unless Jane has her own stuff. Maybe she's still in a fake relationship with her ex-husband that they have to maintain, and this actually works for them because they can both sort of meet each other where they're at. Maybe then it works.
I know, but to me, even though there's sometimes life complications, real things, I don't know what would lead to 60-year-old people or 50-plus people still lying about shit. Like, come on, people. But to literally have to kind of not be part of family pictures, not be for the person that you're with for over 10 years, it doesn't feel okay to me. It doesn't feel healthy. It doesn't feel like that she's probably really a active participant and being okay with it. I think she probably is just like, I guess this is just part of this relationship and I have to deal with it. But I'll tell you, after a year of the awkwardness, figure it out. Figure it out personally.
Totally.
So here's the truth. We both watched this movie and said back and forth to each other, oh no, another movie that we're going to come on and kind of rail on because it's not that good and the relationships don't really make sense and we barely see the leading male. So we wanted to do something a little bit different because the big thing that came up for both of us was, more than anything, Pia wasn't ready. She wasn't ready for a relationship. I questionably think she was ready to run her own business. She was not ready for a lot of different things. And so we wanted to take our main good love lessons or bad love lessons section and talk about the reasons we felt she wasn't ready and what we would maybe tell her to do so we can learn from that. Because I think that some of her behaviors are very normal behaviors for people who are trying to date or trying to connect or trying to find a relationship that can really sabotage. And I
love this.
Yeah. I do too. I'm a little proud of us for coming up with this because I just think I have no interest in shitting on every new rom-com that comes out.
I know.
I don't want to.
Not what we want.
But I'm also not going to pull good love lessons out of thin air that don't exist. And to me, they barely existed in this at all. I couldn't keep up. I was like, this is like 17 different tropes. There's so many different storylines and
relationships.
I know. And there's all these different characters. There's like people who I was like, oh wait, who's what? So if you'd like to start with one, what's one reason that you think that Pia's not ready for a relationship?
Okay, here is something that really stood out to me throughout this. Reason number one. She is not being honest with herself about her desire to be in a relationship.
Yes.
She is only reacting to her family's pressures, to societal expectations that she should be in a relationship.
Yes.
And in her mind, she has decided that being in a relationship and pursuing her career are mutually exclusive, and she has to pick her career and therefore can't be in a relationship, which is not true.
Right.
And she's not secure in her decision. If Pia is like, I don't want to be with someone, I don't want to be married, I don't even want to date, this is my passion, I'm good on this, then she wouldn't be so defensive. Don't you think?
I agree. Ultimately, you and I both wrote down, Pia doesn't seem to even want a relationship. We see from one of the first scenes where her mother takes us about jewelry, she's like, what if I don't want to get married? And here's the deal. That's fucking okay.
Great.
We're both super okay with that. If you want to put your time, and by the way, both of us have started businesses. It can be a rocky time in the beginning. It makes you somewhat emotionally and physically unavailable when you are working around the clock or just trying to get it going and do all the things. That is real. Yeah. But man, she's not honest about her desire to be in a relationship. But I think more importantly, Pia doesn't know what the heck she wants in her life, right? She wants this business, but she doesn't really want to do the stuff to make the business work. We see that she agrees to these dates. So clearly she wants some kind of relationship, but is literally not nice to any single person Kira, she goes on a date with.
That actually is landing for me so hard because she's going on these dates to get the jewelry and to keep her family at bay. Right. She meets this super rich guy. And by the way, this sounds like the perfect setup for her. He's
I knew you were going to love this. This is a Lord Debling all the way.
This is Lord Debling. Guess what? You don't want to be with me. I don't want to be with you. 2 dates every 6 months. Do whatever you want. No kissing, no nothing. I'll give you all the money you need to have your business. That's what she said she wanted, is like financial backing to live her life, get her family off her back. This is exactly what she would want. But she was like, obviously he was not someone you'd actually want to be with. And he's got his weird hang-ups about the pooping
thing
again.
And
yeah. So whatever. He's weird, but she doesn't know what she wants. You're right. Because this is what she would have wanted, and she rejects it outright.
Yeah. At the end of the day, one of the clearest and most easy ways to get into a good relationship is know what you're looking for and being honest with yourself about it. And I do see that happening a lot. Like we feel almost sometimes ashamed that we still want a primary romantic relationship, and own it. Own it, because you half-ass dating or half-ass meeting people is never going to work. It's never going to turn into love. It's never going to be great. And we see Pia, the whole first scene where I'm like, oh, guess what? Pia's a mess because she spills coffee on herself. Yes, coffee. And then her shoe falls off. And then we look and we see, oh, her bills are late. And I'm just like, okay, boy, this is pretty like rom-com or Hollywood
Classic.
101. Just like, oh, this is telling us what this character is right away. But I think that is so true. I would like to say, for the next reason I have, she's having relationships inside her head instead of out loud. And I talk to my clients a lot about this, is that particularly when we're dating, when we like somebody, when we're excited, we don't want to upset them. We don't want to say the wrong thing. We don't want to ask for too much. There's a lot of stuff tied into self-worth about that. But she clearly was hurt and resentful to Charlie for not visiting her at uni. She never shared it with him at the time or anything before now. And we're supposed to see that she's 29 or 30 years old. They were young, but they clearly never talked about what was going on with either of them. And it's so hard to keep a relationship going or even started if the only person you're having conversations with about the relationship is yourself in your head or your friend and not the person that you're dating.
So many assumptions are made and
so
incorrect
many assumptions.
conclusions.
And honestly, Pia, who has this like fantastic London place with her studio and everything, clearly because I guess her family has money. But what we're supposed to take is Charlie basically had to go and help his family work at his restaurant. And she was just
afloat.
To keep it afloat. She just felt really out of touch for what our real needs, and maybe that wasn't happening in her life, but that lack of empathy for what Charlie's going through and how that might affect their relationship temporarily. I'm going to give her the credit because I'm guessing they were 18 or 19.
They were young.
Right. But this is 10 years later, and she's still having these ideas or conversations with her gay best friend about Charlie without ever just asking him what happened, what changed, what. They don't even really do it. In fact, they never really talk about it. They just kind of get together at the end.
So this actually feeds into reason she's not ready, number 3.
Got it. Talk to me.
She does not take responsibility.
She doesn't.
Right? From what you're talking about, we do not see her reflect and think, God, what did I do wrong? Right? Like, or I chose to go to uni knowing it might sacrifice this relationship. And I made that choice and I accept it. And I'm sad that we couldn't make it work or that he didn't want to come with me, but I made my own choice for myself. This woman couldn't face a consequence in her life that she is willing to accept.
Absolutely.
And listen, is Charlie perfect? No. Is her mom too much with the pressure and with the marriage stuff? Yes. But Pia acts so badly, so many times. She stabs a man for being honest with her about his feelings.
It's one date and they're supposedly friends. I was like.
Also, that's not to go back to this, and I'm not a medical doctor, but once you've used an EpiPen once, you're not supposed to do anything with it again. You don't want any germs, bloodborne diseases getting into his. Not important. She ruins her sister's wedding.
Right.
And then when everyone's, hey, are you coming to the wedding?
Oh, my God.
Ghosts them and won't say whether or not she's going to her sister's wedding. Pia, you got to face the music. You got to look in the mirror and take responsibility for your part in all of these problems, because you're a big part of all of the problems.
As you were talking about that, I just realized something that I think we're both going to laugh about. But we're supposed to think that Pia is 29 in 2025, right? So that means that she was in uni, 2012, 2013?
Yeah.
So she said she wrote Charlie every day. What? Like it's the 1800s? Like, why would they not be FaceTiming? Why would they not be Skyping? Why? Because she literally went maybe a 30-minute train ride away. Would they not be seeing each other? That doesn't add up. It's like she was toiling away in the dungeon somewhere, writing letters to her lost love when she was just at uni, and there were phones and there were computers and there was cell phones and iPhones and all of the ways for them to stay connected every single fucking day.
You know what it is, too? It should have been, given what you're saying, it should have been that they all lived in India together. She went to university in London, stayed there. He was Indian, didn't come with her, and she goes back to India for her sister's wedding, which many Indian weddings end up going to, like, where family is.
Right.
So she does the couple of weeks in India, does the dates there. Like, that would have made much more sense. You're right. It's a short train ride away. She comes and goes from her home.
I have had plenty of British clients who are like, well, that person's like 45 minutes away by train. And I'm like, that's a drive across town for me, right? Like
that's within reach.
In the Midwest, everything's 3 hours away. So you get used to driving to see people. But holy crap, I love how we talked like she was in the 80s instead of like modern times where there's 1,000 ways that they could have stayed connected. And I would have rather just it been a real reason, which is you decided to not go to uni with me. We never talked about it. My feelings were hurt. Like
our lives diverged. We were young, right?
Phoning it in. Man.
I agree.
I'm sorry.
I agree.
Let me tell you about reason number 4 of why Pia is not ready for a relationship. And her emotions are all over the place. She cannot control them. And they are sabotaging her life, her business, her friendships, her relationships, her family, her sister's fucking wedding. The fact that people are sitting there on the day or day before her 30-event wedding and having to text, are you coming to your sister's wedding as the maid of honor? Again and again. How selfish.
Yeah.
How ridiculous. How immature. Just
all of it.
And she sits here and we're supposed to be convinced that this biz, we hear this huge speech about what true photography is. And the fact that I love how also we know this is a rom-com and not true because overnight her Instagram explodes and now she's making tons of money. But
yeah.
I mean, I'm 17 years and still waiting, but cool. But supposedly this biz is her passion, but yet she yells at customers. She makes fun of them. She is zero helpful at making it a go. You've already mentioned, and we're going to, but just do the passport photos.
Take a fucking passport photo. You're about to go bankrupt, babe. Take some passport photos. Keep it afloat while you build the business that you dream of.
Absolutely.
What is this?
I personally feel and know that all things in life that are worth doing, whether it be relationships or friendships or careers or businesses, they're going to have elements of shit that you don't want to do. Right? It's not easy to have tough conversations. It's not easy to ask why somebody did something so that we don't make assumptions. It's not easy to set a boundary. None of these things are easy. Passport photos, shoving up a gray back screen.
Easy.
And that actually sounds pretty stinking easy.
Yeah.
But she is just so
hypersensitive to being
unwilling. Right. That's maybe what you would call it. I would call it just really emotionally dysregulated so that she kind of shits on everybody or says a bunch of things or does a bunch of things and then later just feels sorry for herself at her house drinking or whatever and just pretending, oh, my life is ruined with not a ton of acknowledgement of what she did to ruin it.
Well, it's the victim mindset, right? These things keep happening to me. People just want passport photos that they don't see that I do art. Charlie didn't want to come to uni to visit me, even though I didn't meet up with him when I promised that I would and we made a plan.
Right.
Everything just keeps happening to her and it's not her fault, but it is her fault. A little bit.
Take the passport photos and then give them 10% off for portraits and say, you know what, here's what else we could do, right? Here's what else we could do. You know, if you know somebody, that's what you're doing. If you have your own business, you are figuring out how to get people in the door. You are figuring out how to keep talking to them and getting them back in.
Can I say this?
Yes.
Because you know me. And I love a good avoidant. And I have a lot of...
I was wondering
if
you were going
I bet
to
you
be
were.
give her a bunch of like clearance here. I actually thought that.
Because she's avoidant of a lot of the issues in her life, right?
Yes,
she's one of those lashing out angry avoidants who I don't really resonate with because she is causing so much damage to herself and to others. She's destructive. Right. She, like you're saying, she's dysregulated. She's destructive. Her coping skills are not up to snuff. She drinks. She lays in bed and doesn't shower or brush her. Like her ADLs fall off the map. She lashes out at people. She never apologizes.
An ADL?
Activities of daily living. Things like hygiene, showering, routine stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. A good marker of mental health if you're keeping up with your ADLs. It's disappointing because, I can always make an excuse for an avoidant person, but I couldn't for her.
I mean, is this growth?
Oh my God, I'm growing.
Oh my God. Let me tell you probably the thing that bothered me the most. Because I rewatched it, like I said, this morning. And near the end, because I'm like, I want to see this big scene with her and Charlie again. Because I rolled it yesterday. So I'm like, I want to see it. I want to see if I'm missing things. First of all, he's on the phone. We never find out to who.
Wait. What happened there?
He's on the phone. He asks multiple times, can you give me a moment? Can you give me just a second? She does not let him have it. She does. And then she even says, are you listening to me?
I know. He hangs up and she goes, did you hear what I said?
Thought that this was romantic? Who thought that this was like the get? Who thought that this was, oh my God. I was like, this is so rude. I wouldn't let a stranger talk to me this way, let alone somebody that 2 seconds later I'm declaring love to. But she interrupts. She's like, did you even hear me? And then he's like, yes, I did, which he didn't fucking know her. And then he's trying to explain what happened and why. And she goes, do you not see we're having a moment? Yeah, you're ruining it. Oh my God. Let me tell you how long this relationship's going to last. 7 minutes. I'm just going to call it right now. This is lasting maybe to the end of the wedding. Maybe they'll sleep together for a few days. And then by midweek, she's going to be upset about something that's not real. She's going to find a reason to leave. She's going to find a reason because this guy's, the fact that he still has feelings for her for whatever reasons, I have no idea.
Cannot be sure.
Cannot be sure because once again, she's not kind. She's not a thoughtful person. She did not even let him declare his feelings in a way that felt good to him. No. Like after therapy, because I put here, how would we change this? After therapy, a shit ton of therapy. We'd work on mindfulness, self-soothing, healthy coping skills, because she's got to learn how to sit with her feelings because she is a wrecking ball right now.
Oh, yeah.
Wrecking, like leaving people in her wake, her mom, her sister, her friends, her customers, and then certainly Charlie.
Charlie, I know.
Oh, what? What is the last reason we have that we felt
she's not ready?
Right, that she is just not ready. Oh,
this
like the more we talk about it, I'm like, this movie was not even as good as I thought it was.
But here's what I will say before I get into the last reason. I feel like there was actually good love lessons that got lost in the movie. You know, the idea that you don't have to get married and have kids to have a meaningful life, right? Or her parents finally being honest about their relationship at the end and her mom opening up to being romantic with Akshay. Like all of these things felt like, okay, these are actually good lessons. Her sister saying, I'm marrying Sam, who I love, and I'm not embarrassed about that. I feel good about my decision. There were these really good gems.
Right.
That got buried. So I really tried to focus on that. Okay, but reason
You're
number 5.
A better person than I am with this.
I'm really trying here.
I know.
Just because I feel bad
know
about
how hard.
This is. I feel bad. We've had a bad string of not great. We've got a good one coming up, but
we do have a good one coming up.
She's not in touch with reality. Pia is not in touch with the reality that everyone else is living in. She's bankrupt.
True.
She's not paying her employee. She's not in touch with reality, and she needs to practice some severe radical acceptance. Your family is always going to want you to get married. Culturally, right? Emotionally, that's just, your mom is always going to want that. Accept it and move on. You don't have to have this fight every single time she brings it up. You have to face the fact that your business is going under, take some fucking passport photos, and keep it going until you build up your customer base. I just felt like, does she not see what's happening? in her.
I don't think she is. So that's why I'm like, did she grow up? Because her parents seem to have money. They had all the jewelry. I can guarantee there was no jewelry sitting and waiting for me when I got married. But, and it wouldn't have been a very fun rom-com. But boy, I wish she would have just near the end went to her mom and said, this isn't what I want right now. And maybe that'll change in the future. But I really want to be a photographer and a good photographer and have a thriving business. Mm-hmm. Can some of this jewelry be put towards starting that business or taking that business up a notch? Or so I can catch up on my rent and pay my poor best friend who, how do these people live?
How do they live? I
don't
know.
How do they live? How do you afford food? That's the kind of stuff that I don't know if she's just living a completely different life, but I don't think she gets how life works yet. And I don't know if people didn't let her fail. I don't know what happened, but in my mind, the way that Pia acted, the results should not have been like this. She should have not ended up with Charlie. Even the way that she declares that she cares about him was honestly rude and mean.
I know.
Right. And I mean, like this understanding with her sister while she stomped all over her wedding for 2 weeks of it. That's a kindness in life. I feel like in real life, her sister would have been like, stay home. And I'm not talking to you for about 3 years until we work this out at some future Thanksgiving. Yeah, right? Because 100%. You're being so terrible. And then she even took credit for the photos.
When so you pointed this out. Oh
so her
God.
sister and her new brother-in-law were like, but look what you created. Wasn't even the one thing that she does well, which is photography. She didn't
Wasn't
even
hers.
create it.
Charlie did, and he didn't get credit for it.
Why?
Yeah. I don't know.
And why?
And why?
And
Ooh,
why?
We do have some lines, though.
We do. I tried, man. I tried. I had to go back and try.
I like yours. Say yours. I think this is good.
So we always try to pull out some lines that we thought were either good or funny or maybe not so good. But there are a lot of people in your corner, Pia. You just have to let them in. And I see this a lot with my clients. I see this a lot with my avoidance. I see this a lot with people who can just be emotionally unavailable. That there are people trying to get to know them and try to love them and trying to support them. But because they're not willing to let down their wall, they don't let people in. And honestly, she's lucky that she has a mom who has money to bail her out. I do not, by the way. I wish I had a business where my mom was like, here's a bunch of thousands of dollars while you're going through a tough time. She's lucky to have that, but the average person does not. Mm-hmm. So she had a lot of people in her corner and questionably deserving of them after her actions and responses.
Yeah. I have a line that made me laugh. This is the only time I laughed in the whole movie. Her gay best friend Jay says, straight people are such messed up, filthy deviants. I just loved it. I loved it because I have plenty of friends either in the LGBTQ plus community or people who have non-traditional relationship structures, who are poly, and they talk about looking at straight relationships as the scariest thing they can imagine. Of like, you guys don't talk about anything. You are so strict with your lives and your relationship. Y'all need to loosen up. You need to like communicate. And I just thought it was so funny, so on point.
Absolutely. So will they make it?
Absolutely. I mean, they're soulmates. They're meant to be.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, I think we can all agree. If you've seen this movie, the answer is no.
The answer is no, and it shouldn't be. As I mentioned, I don't even think they'll make it past a couple of weeks, or they'll go back and forth. You know what I mean?
She'll get wounded.
Because there seems to be some attachment stuff going on here, unhealthy attachment. Because I don't know why he'd be holding on to somebody who treats him like that.
No.
For all these years, no. I can't imagine it lasts for very long. Or they kind of drive each other crazy for a long time. One of those things.
Also, they haven't resolved the core issue, which is that they still don't live in the same town / city, and there's no intention of moving. So
I guess
Charlie's
he's saying that now now
business
like
is
the restaurant's doing well. But I don't know anybody who has a restaurant continuing. Just like bail. All of a sudden, you can just bail and it's good for the next 5 years. right?
No.
Like you can take a break,
maybe. You could sell it to someone.
Right.
Yeah.
We already did a job of some of the things that we would work with on Pia. Right? Of just her coping mechanisms, self-awareness, self-soothing. Absolutely. Is there anything else that if she were your client, what would you do?
I think we covered all the stuff with her. And honestly, I was more worried about Charlie. I see this man willing to sacrifice a lot, accepting some very bad behavior from a person who has shown no interest to be with him.
Yep.
And I'm wondering why. Why is he letting himself be treated like this? And he has not heard an apology. He has not heard her take responsibility for any of her part in it. Like, why is he willing to just move past that to be with her? I think he needs to do some work. If you're working with Charlie, what are you doing with him, Kira?
I mean, the difference. There's probably a nice difference of you and I is then I am very direct with my clients. So I give them honest feedback. That is part of my world of coaching that I feel comfortable doing after the years that I've been doing this. So if Charlie came to me and's like, I've just gotten back together with an old flame and here's what's happening and here's what's happened, we would be digging in pretty deeply of why that felt like potential for a healthy relationship. I have a big issue with I have feelings versus is this behavior okay for a healthy relationship? Is this going to get you to love? Is this going to get you a partnership? Is this going to get you to a place where both of you feel good and safe and seen and heard and you can trust? Because she is emotionally unsafe. You have no idea when she's going to go off. You have no idea what she's going to say or do. You can't trust her until she starts working on some of her stuff. And it's hard to build a safe, beautiful relationship if you can't trust one person's emotions in it.
No.
Period.
No, she's volatile. She's unpredictable. I don't think we saw a single example of her listening to somebody else's feelings and making space for them and validating them and holding them. Like, not throughout the whole film. So
I don't even know why her gay best friend would.
I know.
We should probably have therapy for him.
Jay. Yeah.
Right? Because, like, why are you putting up with, first of all, why are you working at your best friend's job where she is actively not even trying to build this business and gets lucky from one mildly mediocre Instagram video where she's holding up something really kind of like a weird picture too.
I know. I didn't even get that part of it.
I didn't even get it. So what are our tacos? I didn't even put any in.
You put down no tacos.
Because I am putting 1 and 1. That's what I got. This did not work for me at all. I did not see the love lessons. I think we pulled out some good shit because we are good at what we do. But
it wasn't
you are kinder than I was.
I was, and I'm shocked because I didn't. I gave it a 1 overall. I couldn't go beyond it. I mean, I could do a rewatch, which I couldn't even do with Bridget Jones, so there's something there. But I gave it a 1. Love lessons, I gave 2.5, which I do think is probably too generous. But I do feel like if you look under the surface of everything that we watched, there are those gems. I do.
Do you think that these gems were any different or any better than most of the movies we watched, though? These are pretty standard things, right?
They are. Yeah, it's nothing new. No, I know. Maybe I just didn't want to be an asshole. I don't know. It wasn't good.
It's okay. We don't want to be assholes, but hopefully we were able to look at this constructively enough to be able to take some things away and help people, which is kind of why we're here, right? All right, guys, that's a wrap on this episode of Rom-Com Rescue. We definitely laughed and we definitely analyzed and we questionably uncovered real-life love lessons behind the romance.
Oh, now it's your turn. Tell us what you think. Was this rom-com relationship goals or a total disaster? Vote in our Instagram polls and DM us your hot takes.
And next week, guys, we are going to be talking about great examples of healthy boundaries in rom-coms. I'm really excited about this. So we're going to be able to point out rom-coms that we like that show great healthy boundaries and probably a couple that don't. So we can learn how to do this better because love is hard, and we're happy to help figure it out with you guys.
It's going to be a more upbeat episode because we're going to pull out the good stuff.
So
that's going to be exciting. Make sure to follow, subscribe, and leave a review if you love what we do. It helps us bring more rom-com magic and real talk your way.
Because at the end of the day,
we believe that we create our own happily ever afters.
We got nothing else besides that.
I had no cute add-on. I really thought about it. Yeah.
I just couldn't even believe she told the fortune teller to put a vest on.
She was unlikable.
Wow.
Through and through.
Let's write likable women characters, everybody.